The citation here says, Barack H. Obama, gifted orator, dynamic leader, public servant extraordinaire, pride of Harvard Law School. Through your powerful words and deeds, you exemplify the principle of in pro bono publico.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really sweet. Well, I have to say that despite Elena's opinion, I actually preferred her introduction to Peter Bynos. And I think whoever that person in alumni relations who was in charge deserves a promotion. Yeah. Because Peter, putting all my business out there, you know, typical brother, not understanding the gravity of the occasion, you know. Going for a few cheap laughs. So, I'm glad that Dean Kagan set the proper tone. Oh, boy. I can talk about Peter that way because Peter truly is one of my dearest friends, one of my earliest supporters when folks could not pronounce my name. And I understand some folks still can't. Peter was 4 square behind me, and for those of you who know Peter Byno, if he's your enemy, you're in trouble. But if he is your friend, you cannot have a better and more dedicated friend, and so I'm just grateful for him for the wonderful introduction. I am surrounded by good friends. As Dean Kagan stated, she was a dear friend of mine in Chicago before Harvard had the good judgment to hire her away. I look at David Wilkins and Charles Ogletree, professors of mine who I think taught all of us the meaning of what it means not just to be a lawyer, but to be a public servant. And we're all truly grateful for their contributions. I've got classmates like Ken Mack, who was, I still remember when I was elected the night of Harvard Law Review to become the president, and you know, it's like electing the Pope, right? The white smoke rises, and you've got to go into the room, and I still remember Ken being the first one coming up and giving me a hug, and what that hug meant, because it reminded me that it wasn't about me, it was about us. And having friends like Ken during the years that I was here at Harvard Law School made all the difference in the world. And then you're right, Peter, there are a whole bunch of folks who've given me money in this room, and I'm truly grateful for that. I also want to congratulate Neil and Sharon for the outstanding work that you've done. I do have to say that Sharon's kind of tough, though. She apparently called my staff. She said, is Barack going to give one of those canned speeches that politicians give? My staff's not used to hearing that, since we get about 200 invitations a week. So they said, who's Sharon? I said, well, you don't want to mess with Sharon. Tell her I'll be prepared. And it is truly a great honor to be a part of a conference that honors Charles Hamilton Houston, and to Charles Hamilton Houston's grandchildren. I think all of you know what a debt not just this school owes to your grandfather, not just the African American community owes to your grandfather, but the entire country owes to your grandfather. And so we are truly grateful to have the opportunity to honor him. Let me just take one little bit of privilege as well, if people don't mind. You know, when I announced that I was running for the United States Senate, it was generally greeted with skepticism. People said, well, he's definitely the best candidate. We think he'd probably be the best U.S. Senator. But let's face it, there's no way that a black guy from the South Side named Barack Obama can win a statewide race in a state like Illinois, particularly in a field that didn't just have several multimillionaires, but also had the favorite son of the Democratic Party, who was a sitting state comptroller, the chairman of the public school board, who had been Mayor Daley's chief of staff. It was a tough field in the primary. And so there were a lot of people that needed convincing. And I just think it's worth mentioning that there's another Harvard Law School graduate here in the state of Massachusetts who people are saying would be a pretty good governor. But everybody's saying, well, I'm not sure he can win. And I just want to make note of the fact that Deval Patrick is in the house. Where's Deval? Stand up, Deval. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Deval's in the house. It's been a tough couple of weeks. This has been a tough couple of weeks. You know, we just went through in this country the greatest natural calamity to strike the shores of the United States in most of our lifetimes. All of us, I think, are seared with the images that we saw on television of mothers hoisting their babies up on their hips, trying to figure out how to get them something to eat, of senior citizens in wheelchairs slumped over on their own, some of them motionless, covered with blankets, of bodies floating through the waters of New Orleans. It was a heartbreaking couple of weeks. And when a calamity like this happens, it shakes us out of the ordinary. It grabs us and reminds us that life is fragile, that all the order in our lives, all the things that we take for granted, we should not take for granted. There's nothing inevitable about being able to drive an SUV and fill it up with $100 worth of gasoline. There's nothing inevitable about being able to turn on the tap and get potable drinking water. There's nothing inevitable about being able to assure that your child will survive. Sometimes we get a sense that that is a given, and yet it's not.